Hello everyone, my name is Jason and this is Netminder Review. Now today is Sunday, and normally on a Sunday I would be doing a power ranking. However, this was All-Star Week and there were not a lot of games played, so I decided not to tweak the goaltender power rankings this week, but rather to do something a little bit different. So what I've done today is what I'm getting ready to do here on this video is to do kind of an opposite power ranking, kind of a power outage ranking. So what I'm going to look at here in this video are 10 goaltenders that are underperforming. Not the 10 goaltenders in the NHL that deserve to be highest on the power ranking, but the 10 that kind of deserve to be on the opposite end, on the lowest on the power ranking. Now, I decided for this video to use 25 games as a minimum games played. So every goaltender that I reference in this video has played 25 games, which for, I think every team has got to be at least a half or slightly more, since most teams have played just under 50 games so far. So what I've done is I've taken a few statistics, goals against average, save percentage, record, and another statistic that I'll explain in a minute. And just like with the power rankings video, I've graded each of the goalies and I've given them a score. In this case, the higher the score, the worse. So the 10 goalies that I'm going to put on the board here in a minute, I'll be starting with number 10. And that goalie will have the lowest score, which is a better situation for him. And as I work my way up, the scores will get higher, which of course is worse. Now, besides goals against average, save percentage, record, I also looked with the 5 that I ranked as the most underperforming at their contract, their average annual value that they're being paid by their team. And I also looked at another statistic called really bad starts. Now, really bad starts is a statistic that was invented by a man named Rob Volman. I wanted to look at that and make sure I got his name right. Rob Volman. And what it measures is a start wherein a goaltender has an 85% save percentage or worse. So the goalies on our board here, the top 5 anyway, I'm going to let you know, in addition to where they ranked, kind of what the top 5, or in this case the worst 5 goalies statistics are, and I will include that really bad start statistic, okay? And so some of these guys are guys that are on teams that are playing really poorly this year, so you would kind of expect to see them on the board. Some of them, on the other hand, are on teams that are playing pretty well, teams that have a decent amount of wins, some of which are in playoff contention, but this goalie that's made it on the list is not exactly having his best season. Okay, so let's get started with number 10. Number 10 from the Chicago Blackhawks is Corey Crawford. Now, the Blackhawks are vying for a playoff spot right now, and Robin Lehner has been a huge part of that. So Corey Crawford has not been necessarily the major factor in why they're where they are. He's certainly earned them some wins this year, but Robin Lehner's been better. And Corey Crawford, in my point system that I created, has 9 points. Number 9, let's see here, from the Rangers is Lundqvist. Henrik Lundqvist. And according to my point system, he ends up with 16. Now, 16 points. Now, if you've been following the Rangers, you know that Georgiev and Shesterkin, am I pronouncing that right? Anyway, for some reason his name is escaping me all of a sudden. They've really split duty in net with Lundqvist, And I think as the trade deadline approaches, there's a good possibility that we might see one of them get moved. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think Lundqvist has a full no trade clause, and I do think he wants to finish his career with the Rangers. So he'll probably still be there, especially, well, anyway, as in more of probably a backup role. And from what I've read and heard, it looks like Georgiev's the most likely to get moved. But right now, for this purpose of what we're talking about today, Henrik Lundqvist is on the board at number 9. Number 8, also with 16 points, is Bernier from the Red Wings. Now, you had to know a Red Wings goaltender was going to be on here. The Red Wings are really bad. If you're following the standings at all, the Red Wings are in the bottom of the NHL. They're number 31, and there's no fight for that position. They've got the worst spot in the NHL locked up all to themselves. So Bernier is on here, not surprisingly. At number 7, Matt Murray. Of the Pittsburgh Penguins, with 17 points. Now, also another goaltender who has lost his starting job going into the season. The Penguins looked at Matt Murray, I believe, as their starting goaltender. He's lost that position to Tristan Jarry, and his numbers, Matt Murray's numbers, just haven't been all that fantastic. And it's a fascinating situation in Pittsburgh after Matt Murray took Marc-Andre Fleury's job, and then Fleury, of course, goes unprotected in the expansion draft and ends up in Las Vegas, and now Matt Murray has effectively lost his job to Tristan Jarry. Now, I still think Matt Murray is a good goaltender, and I still think he can be a starting goaltender. Can he ever win the position back from Tristan Jarry in Pittsburgh? I don't know. Does Matt Murray eventually end up on a different team with Tristan Jarry staying in Pittsburgh as the starter? That seems like a likely possibility in the future, but it'll be interesting to see where Matt Murray's career goes going forward. Number, 6 is John Gibson from the Anaheim Ducks with 18 points. And I think you had to expect John Gibson to be on here. You had to expect, the Ducks, just like the Red Wings, to have representation on a chart that's measuring something that is not good, because the Ducks are very much not good. And I don't know, if you're like me, it's so weird to see the California teams all in the bottom of that division right now after so long where those 3 California teams were just a powerhouse. And, I've made no attempt to hide it. I'm a huge Blues fan. And I remember, not so long ago, every time the Blues would have a road trip out to California, it was a nervous situation because it was very realistic for them to go, 0-3 or earn, 2 points on a 3-game road trip to California or something like that. And right now, boy, a road trip through California seems like 3 easy wins for a team that's playing well. Number 5, and this is where I'll start getting into the statistics just a little bit more of each goaltender that I put up here. So number 5 on our list from the Nashville Predators is Pekka Rinne. Now, the last couple times that I've seen Rinne, he's, not looked horrible or anything, and, for a while Nashville was looking like they were maybe making a push, and now they've fallen back off again. And I know that Saros is a good goaltender there, and so, really, who's their best goalie? Rinne, Saros? Well, statistically, Rinne's not been fantastic this year. So let's just look at his statistics. Let's see here. From a record standpoint, he's been pretty good. But from a goals against average standpoint, he's at 2.95. Now, 2.95 is certainly respectable. I mean, anything 3 and under is good, but that ranks him the 11th worst in the NHL. So, not amazing. But what's really concerning is his 8 899 save percentage, which ranks him 5th worst in the NHL among goaltenders who have played 25 games or more. So that is disconcerting. And in addition to that, I told you about that statistic about really bad starts. Rinne has had eight really bad starts where he has had a save percentage of 85% or below. Now, if your goaltender is stopping 85% or fewer of the shots that he sees, you're probably not winning unless you have one heck of an offensive powerhouse team. And something else that I wanted to mention. Pekka Rinne is making his average annual value is $5 million a year. So, is he really worth the $5 million that he's getting? Well, with an .899 save percentage, that's certainly questionable. Next up on the list is, number 4 is Braden Holtby. Of the Washington Capitals. And here's another guy who's lost his job to Samsonov and is probably not going to be wearing a Washington Capitals jersey very much longer. Braden Holtby, another situation, his record's good, but of course his record's good. He plays for Washington. Washington's record is phenomenal, but his statistics don't look so hot. So a 3.09 GAA, goals against average, it's respectable, I guess. But really, among among goalies that have played 25 games or more, tripping over my tongue here, he's got the 4th worst goals against average. So not great. And then even more concerning, 8-9. Okay, so even more concerning with Braden Holtby is this .897 save percentage, which is the 3rd worst in the NHL among goaltenders who have played 25 games or more. And I had forgotten to mention that Pekka Rinne, according to my scoring system, has 27 points. Braden Holtby, 47. So that's not good. We see a huge jump up with the grading system that I've used, which means not great performance, not good statistics. And with the Capitals paying him $6.1 million per year, I'm going to say that they're not getting their money's worth. And, with Samsonov taking over there and playing extremely well, I don't think we're going to see Holtby in a Capitals jersey very much longer. Number 3 on the list, Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick of the Los Angeles Kings. It is so weird to be putting Jonathan Quick on this list. Just because, as I referenced a moment ago, how difficult it used to be for a team to play the California teams and how good Los Angeles was and how Jonathan Quick was looked at as being one of the premier goaltenders in the NHL. And putting him on this list is kind of hurts a little bit because I really did like Jonathan Quick, even though I never liked it when the Blues got knocked out of the playoffs by the Kings. But anyway, Jonathan Quick's record this year, 11-17-3. No surprise, the Kings are bad, and so their goalie's not going to have a good record. But his goals against average, 3.01, making him the... Sorry, my numbers are off just a little bit. 2nd or 3rd worst in the NHL among goaltenders who have played 25 games or more. I apologize. I got my notes a little scribbled. And then also for Jonathan Quick, he's got... I'm seeing it now here. I'm sorry. 5th worst. 5th worst goals against average among goaltenders who have played 25 games or more. And then his save percentage, .896. 896. 2nd worst save percentage among goaltenders playing 25 games or more. So very, very disconcerting. As far as really bad starts, Jonathan Quick with 5. So not as bad as Holtby or Rinne. And according to my point system, Quick has 48 points. Okay, now, number 1 and number 2. Now, number 2 is on here in part because his statistics are not good, but also in part because he's making a ridiculous amount of money, and I don't think he's giving his team anywhere near what they were hoping that they would get when they signed him for that ridiculous amount of money, and that's Sergei Bobrovsky. Now, when it became pretty obvious that Bobrovsky wanted to leave Columbus, I was kind of excited. This was before, again, you know, I'm saying everything in the context of being a huge Blues fan. This was before the rise of Jordan Binnington, before the Stanley Cup last year, and it was obvious, you know, early last season that Bobrovsky was probably not going to continue with Columbus past last season. And I was thinking to myself, you know, wow, wouldn't it be great if St. Louis could get him? Well, no, I don't think it would be great. If the way that he's playing for Florida is any indicator. Now, like some of the others on here, like Holtby, for example, his record's great. His record's fine. It's not a record issue, but it's a statistical issue. 3.24 goals against average for Bobrovsky of the Florida Panthers. That is the worst goals against average among goaltenders who have played 25 games or more. And his save percentage of .898 is the 4th worst among goaltenders that have played 25 games or more. Now, he is making an average annual value of $10 million a year. I mean, to put that in perspective, the Blues are paying Binnington and Jake Allen combined less than what Bobrovsky is making, and he is not giving the Florida Panthers what they paid for. He has 8 really bad starts, and according to my point system, has 50 points. Now, Florida is, you know, maybe going to make the playoffs. They're certainly in the hunt. And I want to see Bobrovsky play better. I want to see him turn it around. I want to see him be what Florida thought they were getting when they signed him. I like Joel Quenneville, and I'd like to see him do well in Florida. I like some of the young talent they have in Florida, and I'd like to see that team do well. And they are doing pretty well. But Bobrovsky, at this point, especially when you consider how much he's making, is really a financial liability for the Panthers more than he is a plus for them. So number 1, who's number 1 on the list? Number 1 from the San Jose Sharks is Martin Jones. And of course, being number 1 on this list is bad. So Martin Jones' record 13-16-2, and his goals against average is 3.22. So only a tiny bit better than Bobrovsky's, and earning him 2nd worst in the NHL among goalies that have played 25 games or more. His save percentage is brutal. .890. .890. So that's bad. So if your goaltender can't stop 90% of the shots that he's seeing, you're going to lose a lot of games probably, and the Sharks are losing a lot of games. Really bad starts this year? 9. 9 really bad starts. I just discovered that statistic recently, and I think it's a fascinating statistic. And I understand not all games are equal. You know, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching the Winnipeg Jets any lately. Connor Hellebuck's been letting in a lot more goals recently, but if you watch those goals, I mean, it's like his team is just taking a break when they get in the defensive zone and just saying, you know what, Connor, we're going to turn this all over to you. Some of those goals have been absolutely brutal defensive play by the Jets. So I understand that sometimes a goaltender can have a bad save percentage in a game because his team just flat out lets him down and just stops playing in front of him. But nine times, that's pretty bad. So Martin Jones, according to my scoring system, 66 points. Now, what I'd like to do for just a moment is contrast this with the top 5 goaltenders from my power ranking from January 19th. So number 5 on January 19th on my power ranking was Andrei Vasilevsky. Not number 5 bad, 5 worse like we have on here, but the 5th best. Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Vasilevsky making $3.5 million average annual value. So let's see, less than every goaltender on the top 5 here. I forgot to mention Martin Jones is making $5,750,000 average annual value. So Andrei Vasilevsky making $3.5 million average annual value for really bad starts this year. And of course we know the Tampa Bay Lightning are tearing up the league at the moment and, you know, fighting for first place in that division. I think their last couple games maybe weren't as strong, but nonetheless. Anton Khudobin of the Dallas Stars, 2 really bad starts. Ben Bishop, who's making $4.9 million average annual value of the Dallas Stars. $4.9 million. Again, that's less than all 5 of these guys. 4 really bad starts. Tristan Jarry, who's number 2 on my power rankings from the Pittsburgh Penguins, who, by the way, as I stated earlier, has replaced Matt Murray as the seeming starter in Pittsburgh. 0 really bad starts for Tristan Jarry. And by the way, the Penguins are also, like the Lightning, tearing up the league right now and fighting for a President's Trophy. Or at least it sure looks like they're going to put in a good fight for the President's Trophy. And number 1 on my power ranking this past week was Elvis Merzlikins of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who has 2 really bad starts. Now, I didn't tell you guys Jarry or Merzlikins' average annual value because they're, they're both rookies this year, so their contracts are going to be significantly lower. I'm sure they'll sign. I mean, if they continue to play like they've been playing, then they will undoubtedly sign for a contract that will get them something like what these guys are earning. And obviously, hopefully, their statistics won't nosedive after they sign it. You know, Bobrovsky and Holtby, especially, I still think have a lot of good years in them. Rene obviously is on the tail end of his career. I still think he's got plenty of talent. And I don't think he's had a horrible season, but right now he's down. He's not great. And, you know, Martin Jones and Jonathan Quick, I mean, I think Jonathan Quick's on the downside of his career, and he's on a team that's not so hot. Martin Jones, I don't even know what to do with him. You know, is he going to bounce back? Is he going to be a starter caliber goaltender in the NHL ever again? I guess time will tell. I'd like to think that he can be, but it doesn't look good right now for him. But these guys just really having a rough go of it, even though some of them are on teams, you know, like Bobrovsky in Florida that are playing pretty well. And obviously Holtby, you know, on the Capitals, amazing. But Holtby's statistics, not so great. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this information. If you did, please hit like. Subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. You can make sure that you're up to date on future videos as they get posted. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And have an awesome day.